Slide 1. The picture has several Indian women smiling happily in colorful clothing. Hello class, and welcome to our presentation. We're going to be speaking to you today about the No Toilet, No Bride, or NTNB, social marketing campaign. First, we will attempt to convey why this is an important environmental, health, and women's rights issue. Then, we are going to introduce the campaign to the class. Later, we will explore its effectiveness on several key metrics: women's rights, environmental impact, and positive health outcomes. Near the end of the presentation, we're going to look at some of the challenges and obstacles that the campaign faced. Finally, we will wrap it up and leave you with a question. Slide 2. This is a simple graphic of our table of contents. It says number 1, introduction of campaign. Number 2, effectivity. A, bargaining tool for women's rights. B, positive health outcomes. C, environmental impact. 3, campaign challenges and obstacles. And 4, conclusion. Slide 3. The first image is 3 people washing laundry in a river with garbage strewn about. The second image is of 2 children getting drinking water with their bare hands in a street out of what appears to be a broken pipe. Sanitation facilities in India are alarmingly poor, with 626 million people, half of India's population, defecating publicly. Around the world, the problem is even bigger, with 1.1 billion people defecating in the open in some fashion. This leads to health hazards, raises environmental concerns, and leads to water contamination. This fecal pollution is indirectly responsible for the deaths of approximately 2 million children around the world and is one of the largest health concerns on the planet. Slide 4. In the picture, women angrily shout slogans and carry signs during a large protest to denounce the gang rape and hanging of 2 teenage girls. This lack of clean, safe, and private toilets is also a women's rights and safety issue. Waiting until nighttime to urinate or defecate outside is not only dehumanizing, but it makes women vulnerable to harassment, sexual assault, or rape. Some studies show that 30% of these crimes could be prevented simply by having an indoor or private women's bathroom. Slide 5. The image is of an older lady in a white robe exiting a communal toilet that is clearly dedicated to women. The NTNB campaign was launched by the local government of Haryana province of India in 2005. It harnessed one of the most powerful change factors that we have been introduced to, the desire to belong. When combined with a statement of prestige and community status, along with exploiting the cultural norm of marriage arranged between families, we end up with an incredibly powerful and inexpensive social marketing campaign. Slide 6. The image on the right is an example of one of the ad campaigns, and it has a picture of a toilet with the words, "Your home is not complete without a toilet." And the image on the left is a Bollywood movie poster with the words, "No toilet, no bride" along the top. The rest of the picture is of an Indian man in full traditional garb with a toilet made of cash around his neck and a very confident expression. Indian families were instructed by billboards, radio, print, television, and later by Bollywood movies to ensure their future sons-in-law can provide an indoor lavatory before allowing their daughters to marry. The rallying cry of "No loo, no I do" was heard almost everywhere in Haryana province. Slide 7. The image is of a well-dressed and happy and smiling young, attractive Indian couple. The NTNB campaign has created significant changes in areas like Haryana, where the ratio of women to men is skewed in favor of females. The marriage market is like any other market. It adapts to supply and demand. Women have been able to harness their relative scarcity to bargain for their rights as a premarital requirement. One such right is that of having a private latrine, which offers women safety, proper sanitation, and dignity. Women often must defecate and urinate and attend to menstrual needs in public due to a lack of available facilities. This places them in an incredibly vulnerable position and are often harassed, assaulted, or raped while simply trying to go to the washroom. If there are any toilets, they're typically reserved only for men. Prior to the campaign, 70% of rural households in Haryana did not have a women's private toilet. Slide 8. The visual content says 21% increase in private latrines 2004 to 2008, 1.42 million toilets built 2005 to 2009, and 861 females per 1,000 men 2001. The NTNB campaign changed all that. In regions where there are significantly less women available in the marriage market, women and their families can make demands as men try to secure wives from a limited number of potential partners. In Haryana, for example, there were 861 females per 1,000 men in 2001. In such an atmosphere, the NTNB campaign was wildly successful. It allowed women to demand potential husbands have a designated latrine for women as a requirement prior to the marriage. In households with boys active on the marriage market from 2004 to 2008, there has been a 21% increase, leading overall to 1.42 million toilets being built between 2005 and 2009. The campaign was so successful that it has spread to other areas with large sex ratio disparities, such as Punjab and Himachal Pradesh. In 2017, a report found that 110 villages mandated officially that grooms get a certificate to verify their toilets before they can marry. Slide 9. This slide has two images. The first is of a toilet with a red circle and a slash through it like a no smoking sign. And the second is two hands covered in beautiful and intricate henna designs as part of a marriage ceremony. The NTNB campaign has been so successful that it has changed the social norms of areas like Haryana, whereby women no longer need to negotiate their marriage for toilets. Such demands have been amalgamated into the social norm. Men have accepted the NTNB demand. They work towards financially supporting a toilet for prospective brides without the women nor their families requesting it. This campaign has effectively cleared the road so that the elephant can bring the female rider to a safe and private commode. Slide 10. The picture shows a line graph indicating a rise in the adoption of indoor toilets since the beginning of the campaign. It shows a steep rise in rural areas, but also a slight increase in urban areas where adoption of adequate sanitation is already high. Slide 11. The image is of several young children in blue and red school uniform walking along a street together. While open defecation practices put everyone's health at risk, children are disproportionately affected by what are termed waterborne diseases. These include many of the maladies that they pick up from interacting with fecal matter and not having access to proper hand washing. This leads to illnesses that cause diarrhea, malnutrition, dehydration, and ultimately death for an estimated 2 million kids every year. Lack of sanitation in underdeveloped countries is such a huge issue that the UN made it one of the benchmarks of basic human rights. One of the most effective ways to reduce infant mortality and overall health is to provide universal access to basic sanitation. Slide 12. The picture is a cartoon. In the background is a ribbon-cutting ceremony proclaiming the town open defecation free. In the foreground are two children squatting to relieve themselves in a playground with a speech bubble that says, "Don't worry, that's just for adults." Slide 13. The image is of two women in a rural setting. They are walking along a dirt road with large steel water ewers on their heads. In the background is a lush green field. Poor sanitation is linked to many different environmental concerns. Many of the open defecation areas are near water. When feces are introduced to a water system, it is well known that the effects on health can be catastrophic. What is not as widely known are that the effects it can have on the surrounding ecosystem. The unclean water can cause a loss of animal life. It can produce algal blooms that kill aquatic life by depleting the oxygen in the surrounding water. It also produces visual and olfactory pollution. Slide 14. The picture on the left is of a large, well-crafted sand sculpture that has the words, "Use toilet, stop open defecation." The sand sculpture has two detailed drawings. One depicts a person squatting in the grass, and the other is of the outside of a toilet facility. The picture on the right is of mounted toilet stalls. Instead of the normal man-woman symbols, bright drawings depict which toilet is for which gender. Slide 15. The image depicts a young woman struggling to get over a wall. The challenges and obstacles that this campaign has faced are: 1. In areas where the ratio of men to women is closer to 1 to 1, this program has had lesser effect. 2. The sheer amount of people that were practicing open defecation was an obstacle. 3. The government started a Clean India campaign, also known as Swachh Bharat. Part of the campaign was to refund households for the price of installing a toilet. Slide 16. The image shows the scales of justice with the symbols for man and woman on either side. Challenge 1. Many of the regions in India do not have the huge disparity between men and women that is present in Haryana province. Haryana province was an excellent place to begin this campaign because of its inequality in numbers. The cost was relatively low in terms of cost to benefit. In later years, it was adopted by other provinces with a high women to men discrepancy. Slide 17. The images show a Bollywood sign that resembles the Hollywood sign, and an actual sign with an arrow pointing and the word toilet written in English and Hindi. In recent times, this has become a cultural phenomenon, and even Bollywood has gotten on board, with the release of movies such as Toilet, A Love Story, which went as high as number 2, pun intended. Bollywood actress Vijay Balan and Anita Bai Nari are credited with increasing the number of women demanding and obtaining toilets in Madhya Pradesh. Slide 18. The image is of a large crowd of people that are colorfully dressed, mostly in shades of orange. They're all marching in the same direction. Challenge 2. The amount of people practicing open defecation. Slide 19. The images are a depiction of the planet Earth centered on India with a stretched out smiling poo emoji underneath. Around the world, 1.1 billion people practice open defecation. In India, it was as many as 626 million people, over half of India's population. To get the message across that having a toilet was a desirable activity that others were doing was an obstacle. They were very creative in that. In the beginning, they did not mention what others were doing. They simply made a statement appealing to cultural identity. The declaration of no toilet, no bride seemed to indicate that it was a thing that your neighbors were already doing, and therefore you should as well. The use of popular Bollywood stars and even a well-liked movie elevated it to the status symbol that it is now. It can be difficult to raise your educational status, but a toilet is an affordable status symbol that raises men's chances of being able to attract a mate. Slide 20. The picture is an advertisement with the words Clean India, One Step for Cleanliness, written in Hindi, along with a stick drawing of someone picking up refuse and the Swachh Bharat logo, which looks like a pair of wire-rimmed reading glasses. After the initial, cost-effective, and small P No Toilet, No Bride campaign out of Haryana province, the government of India started their own, larger, Big P policy. It was called Swachh Bharat, or Clean India. Among many other initiatives, a large part of the campaign was to refund households for the price of installing a toilet. Many of the poorer households had difficulty coming up with the initial capital to pay for it in advance. Being from a less advantaged background, it was also challenging for them to secure a loan to finance such projects. Most would sell an item of value such as communal livestock. Because of earlier widespread fraud, the project had to be documented from beginning to end so that you could receive your rebate. Being mostly uneducated, it was complicated for them to claim the reimbursement. For most, however, the monetary benefits, while important, would never have produced the change on the scale we are seeing without the social marketing aspect. Slide 21. On the right of the screen are written the following words: Key factors and benefits. On the left, it says biotoilets, access to clean water, Swachh Bharat movement, NTNB campaign, shift in social norms. According to a recent UN study, South Asia has had the biggest increase in the amount of people using superior sanitation. This is thanks to the invention of the biotoilet, better access to clean water, the Swachh Bharat movement, and the No Toilet, No Bride promotion in India. This promotion started in a small province for very little money. They made a bold statement of no loo, no I do, and repeated it until it was an accepted part of the culture. Now, enough women have demanded the basic right of being able to use a toilet in private that it is no longer the audacious risk it once was to insist upon before nuptials. In terms of cost to benefit ratio, this is arguably one of the most effective campaigns ever devised. In the beginning, it cost no more than a few $1,000s. It is responsible for starting a seismic shift in the world's second most populous country that is on its way to ending open defecation. Open defecation is recognized as one of the world's most serious, yet most easily preventable health nightmares. We stated the benefits to the environment as being quite significant as well. The most profoundly impactful part of our research has been how dangerous the practice of open defecation is for women. The main reason that many parts of India have an off ratio of men to women is because of preferential treatment of boys. They are cared for more and provided with more nutrition and safety. Girls are also selectively aborted. To be able to turn this misogynistic practice on its head by using some of the only power they have is remarkable, and women for generations to come will benefit because of the No Toilet, No Bride campaign. Slide 22. The picture is of many different colored question marks. Now we come to the question that was promised at the beginning of this presentation. You know how effective this campaign has been for the environment, for health, and for women's rights. Given that information, if I were to tell you that I have a private toilet at home, the picture is a cartoon of an Indian man holding a toilet with the words, "Will you marry me?" written upon it, and he is presenting it to an Indian woman. Thank you so much for your attention.